Hey guys, this is Scott Weissman from Riverhead, New York, and you're watching Chris Strub's Road Trip Recall, episode 44.
Day one. I've got to admit, it's a pretty awesome feeling to get in your car, turn the key, and kick off a road trip. I've been blessed to do it several times now. I got a little bit of a late start leaving Greenville that day. This was May 15th, 2015, for a couple reasons. One was not my fault. I had contacted several news stations, a newspaper, radio stations, and so forth, trying to get media coverage for the kickoff of the trip. And one station in particular took their time to come see me. The other one was my fault. I had a crush on someone that I met at Sbarro, and before I left for Charleston, I wanted to go see her at work. So I did. She wasn't there. Driving from Greenville to Charleston, beautiful. It's a nice drive, just like my street is today. One takes snaps. And I remember when I got to Charleston, my very first stop was Folly Beach. And I got a parking spot, walked towards the beach, and there was a beach bar right there. I think this was a Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night. Perfect weather. This also, contextually, this was a couple months before the big shooting in Charleston, which I know changed the tone of the city quite a bit. This was before that shooting. And while we're talking about Charleston, I should take a moment to recognize the families of all the victims there. I know that that shooting was a couple of years ago, but the scars and the pain of that tragedy still live on in South Carolina. But I remember walking up to Folly Beach, seeing all the people sitting outside drinking margaritas and everything, and I'm like, God, that would be fun. That would be awesome. Let's do that. And then I was like, you know what? That's just not what this trip is about. And I remember the first photo that I took in Charleston, I went on to Folly Beach, met these kids throwing a Frisbee around, and I was like, man, I should just hang out here all night. Nope, gotta rest up, CYDC in the morning. But I took this picture. And I've always wanted to go back to Folly Beach and just relax and have a good time and soak in the sun, you know, because there was so much pressure, so much stress at that moment. Day one, day zero. And it's funny, when I talk about the Team Strub journey, the trip, the adventure, I call this series Road Trip Recall, but it was so much more than a road trip. It was like work. And that was like getting ready for work the next day. And by the way, I'm curious, and I'll wrap this episode up here in a second. I certainly could have written a bit more of an introduction to the trip in sort of this empty section here, pages 16 and 17. So let me know, would you want to hear more of the backstory? Would you want to hear more of what drove me figuratively to want to go on this trip and what sort of led into, day one with Kim at the CYDC and so on? Anyway, to wrap things up, I met up that night with my friend Lauren from Binghamton University. She was my RA like 10 years earlier. How amazing is that? So went out, hung out, barbecued with a bunch of her friends and everything, and then was off to the CYDC the next morning. That was about it for day one, and that's about it for episode 44 of Road Trip Recall. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Catch up on all the previous episodes of Road Trip Recall right here on YouTube. And of course, make sure you get your copy of 50 States, 100 Days, the book. It's available now on Amazon. Read all about it at teamstrub.com. And I'll see you back here real soon for episode 44. Adios.